Finally, let's focus on the commitment to nuclear safety. What exactly does commitment to nuclear safety stand for? First, everyone is responsible for achieving nuclear safety. This means that it applies not only to an organisation or a company itself, but to each and every employee. So nobody is exempt from the obligation to ensure that safety is always the top priority. As we already mentioned, in projects or organisations, there are often different goals for their activities. Some examples are delivering high quality, keeping costs within budget, accomplishing milestones. But if these goals conflict with safety, safety must always prevail. As nuclear safety is a collective responsibility, let's start with managers. Managers must not only commit verbally to safety, but must demonstrate this in their decisions and behaviours. As an example, managers should often be seen in the workplace. They should observe and coach, and in direct contact with their employees, they should reinforce standards and expectations that are related to safety. On the other hand, when they observe deviations from standards and expectations, they must insist that these are corrected promptly. Often, activities at the workplace are implemented in a variety of ways, but leaders must ensure that the priorities are set in a way that nuclear safety receives the overriding priority. Leaders must always behave in such a way that sets the standard for safety. But there's more to management commitment. Managers must establish a high level of trust in the organisation, because only then can issues related to safety be communicated openly, in a timely way and accurately. This requires that everybody is treated with dignity and respect, and not only by managers. The opinions of everybody must be valued and appreciated. Employees must be encouraged to voice their concerns, provide suggestions, and raise questions. Ultimately, a high level of trust must be fostered among individuals and work groups throughout the organisation. First, we commit ourselves to ensuring safety as the highest priority during our activities at the ITER construction site. Here, safety not only refers to the safe construction and assembly work, or ensuring that nobody will suffer any harm from these activities, it also refers to ensuring that during future ITER operation, the safety of the plant will not be jeopardised. That's to say, that it will not produce any harm to its operational staff, to the people living close by, or to the environment. Although far in the future, we can already contribute to safe ITER operation by adhering to the highest quality and nuclear standards during our daily construction and assembly work, and following specific procedures applicable to our daily work. We also encourage each other to adhere to high standards. This directly implies that we'll demonstrate our personal responsibility for the behaviours and work practices that support quality and nuclear safety. We'll foster a professional environment, encourage teamwork, and identify challenges to nuclear safety during our daily activities. We communicate and coordinate our activities independent of organisational boundaries. We work as a team to ensure sound safety practices. We will actively coach new personnel and will share important information, publications and tools. Taking personal responsibility for safety of ITER during future operation has several implications for our daily work. We will continuously challenge existing conditions and activities. We'll avoid complacency and identify discrepancies that might result in error or inappropriate action. It's clear to us that complex technologies like those being built into ITER, can fail in unpredictable ways. Of course, we'll stop when we are unsure or face a situation that is unclear to us. We'll resolve issues before continuing our work. If something doesn't seem to be correct, we'll challenge our assumptions and check opposing views. We know that mistakes may happen. Also, problems and risks may exist that are not visible at first sight. So we'll be prepared for this and eventually to plan for it. When something unusual is discovered, we'll address it and communicate it. In our communication, we will focus on safety. Safety at the workplace today, and also safety during future ITER operation, which will be influenced by our current construction, manufacturing and assembly activities. So we will always communicate on safety-related issues in our daily work. If something unusual happens, or if we are unsure about a situation, we'll communicate openly and frankly, not only with our peers in the workplace, but also up and down and across our organisation, like in this small example. And we'll also communicate with oversight organisations, of course. In communication, managers play a significant role. They communicate the desired nuclear safety behaviours to individuals. They provide examples of how behaviours positively or negatively affect nuclear safety. In that way, they reinforce the expectation that nuclear safety is the overriding priority of the organisation. Now, let's summarise our expectations on your attitudes and behaviour during your work, grouped into 3 categories. Before work starts, be prepared to always comply with the procedures and regulations that are appropriate for your work area. Ensure that you are properly qualified for your job and that you have been trained as necessary. During your work activities, approach your work tasks rigorously and cautiously. Always exhibit a questioning attitude. If necessary, question your assumptions, the situation, your processes, your tools. Think before acting in case of a problem. Be vigilant daily. Always provide a warning duty to others based on your daily vigilance. When at your workplace, involve everybody who is connected with your activities. And then, after your work, continuously improve your attitudes and behaviour and incorporate the lessons learned. So, before you undertake a task and start your activities, we expect you to ask yourself some questions. Have I the necessary knowledge to perform the task? Have I well understood the task? What connections are there with nuclear safety? Can I expect any unusual circumstances in my work task? What could go wrong? What are the consequences of possible failures? What can I do to prevent failures? And what could I do in the case of a failure? Perhaps there are other questions that you can think of. So to conclude our training course, what we now expect from you always is this: to exhibit a thoughtful behaviour with a good knowledge of the context of your activities and a sense of personal responsibility for the consequences of your activities. Before we finally conclude the course, you may like to answer some short questions to check your understanding of what we have learnt. Thank you for your attention.